And for more on this case, we've got Lucas Koerner with us now. He's a journalist living in Venezuela. Lucas, are you there?
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lucas. Now, let's go back a bit for some context. Can you tell us exactly Leopoldo Lopez's role in 2014 that incited the violence?
Yeah, and I think it's important to go back not just to 2014 but to 2002. That Leopoldo Lopez was the former mayor of the wealthy Caracas municipality of Chacao, where in 2002 he played an active role in the coup, the U.S.-sponsored coup against then President Hugo Chavez, actually kidnapping the interior minister in a completely illegal fashion. So his undemocratic roots go very deep, and he comes from a oligarchic family, but through his mother he's related to the Mendoza, who control the Polar company, which is the largest in Venezuela, one of the largest. So clearly he is very well connected to transnational U.S. elites and transnational networks. And in 2014, he played a particular role in the coup when he actually basically led protests calling with the hashtag La Salida, the exit, which referring to the ouster, effectively the exit of the democratically elected President Nicolas Maduro. And what this led to on 12th of February 2014.
Violent clashes in which opposition supporters came out to the streets close to the public prosecutor's office and attempted to burn buildings, public facilities, vehicles, etc., leading to the deaths of four individuals, two of them opposition supporters, at least one of them a Chavista, grassroots Chavista militant. And over the several months that preceded this call for La Salida resulted in, was taken by youth, right-wing youth throughout the country and other supporters to build barricades in many cities throughout the country that were maintained, leading to the killing of security personnel, passerby, in these instances, as well as preventing ambulances from passing, which caused the death of more people through kind of indirect consequences. All in all, 43 people died as a result of this. I mean, if you can imagine that in the United States, the mayor of Reston, Virginia, called for violent protests in Washington, D.C. and cities throughout the country, and this led to, called for the ouster of President Barack Obama. What would happen then? Would this be tolerated in the United States? I would dare say that Lopez probably would not be alive today in the United States if he were a politician doing the same thing there.
I tend to agree with you there. Now, he's well known. He has a history for inciting violence. Now, the court sentenced him to 13 years and 9 months in prison. And while the hearing was taking place yesterday, reports are that protests turned violent. There are more protests planned for today. Do you expect more violence today as well?
I think that it's important to note that the Lopez does not have very much support. He does not have widespread support within Venezuela. He only has the support of a fraction of the opposition, and as is indicated in his recent protests he called for in May, during his alleged hunger strike. Only some 3,000 people came out, so he has very little support. That being said, these supporters are very hardcore, and as we saw from last year, are committed to ousting the democratically elected government of Nicolas Maduro by any means necessary, whether they be the attempted coups, as we saw last year on February 12th with the blue coup attempt, in which several Air Force officers were plotting against the government, and the day before, Leopoldo Lopez, as well as Maria Corina Machado and Antonio Ledesma came out with a national transition agreement calling yet again for the ouster of Nicolas Maduro, or a transition, quote-unquote, without specifying constitutional mechanisms. It was coincidentally followed by a coup attempt. So, I mean, we see that these are definitely people who are committed to the ouster of the government. That being said, they do not have widespread support, and the vast majority of the opposition is committed to engaging in elections this December and, will not go out to support these violent calls.
Lucas, there have been claims of human rights violations in Lopez's 19-month solitary confinement. Now, these claims are being made by his family. Are there any truth at all to these claims, you think?
I mean, I think that we have to go right to the Venezuela's ombudsman, Tarek Saab, who has consistently visited Leopoldo Lopez in Ramo Verde military prison, and he has, in consistent reports, he has testified that Lopez is found in perfectly healthy conditions in conditions of confinement that are entirely in conformity with international law. So I think that we have to look at the people on the ground, and if the defensoria, the public defender, the ombudsman, who is basically responsible for protecting the rights of all people in Venezuela, testifies to the protection of Lopez's rights, I think we need to take heed of that. I mean, obviously, the U.S. State Department, Roberta Jackson, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch have all issued statements, but we have to always wonder, where do their interests lie, and especially considering the interests of the donors of these NGOs, as well as the interests of the U.S. State Department, which always is eager to distract attention from its own rampant human rights abuses, which we see in countless scenes of war and drone strikes or mass deportations, etc.
Great point, Lucas. We have to ascertain where the interests lie. Thank you so much for the reporting. Hopefully we can touch base with you sometime in the future with another update. Thanks, Lucas.